welcome to the deep dive.
Okay, so you've handed us this pretty incredible pile of source material. We're talking ancient texts, military tech, and a full-blown pandemic conspiracy. It looks like quite a journey.
Oh, it absolutely is. We're essentially tracing this high-stakes investigation. It kicks off with, believe it or not, the hunt for Noah's Ark, something thousands of years old.
Right.
And almost immediately, it smashes headfirst into this really modern bioweapon plot, and behind it all, a charismatic billionaire cult leader.
So our mission today is basically to untangle all of that, cut through the chaos, maybe look at the facts, the tech involved, which is surprisingly real in places, and the pretty dramatic, explosive events that unfold.
Exactly. We're diving deep into where, faith, hard science, and frankly, the terrifying efficiency of modern evil kind of collide.
It sounds like we need to unpack how this massive ancient archaeological quest somehow becomes the linchpin for a plot aiming for, global extinction?
That's the core of it, how the search for the Ark unlocked a weapon capable of ending the world as we know it. Okay, let's start at the beginning again. Section 1. The setup. A dying man, a missing father, and an engineer enters the picture.
Yeah, and we jump right into the deep end. This story opens in this dark, quiet chamber. An archaeologist, a guy named Arvadi, is literally moments away from his life's goal.
Seeing Noah's Ark.
Seeing the Ark. But instead, he's dying, he's been shot. The sources are specific here. 3 bullets, 1 in the stomach, 1 in each knee.
Ugh. That's brutal. That's not just killing someone, that's something else. Torture. Incapacitation.
It speaks to a certain cold-blooded professionalism, doesn't it? Maybe an interrogation happened first, maybe not, but the result is clear. Leave him alive, but immobilized, in agony. A slow death from shock, from bleeding out. It's a horrific way to go.
And what gets me is what goes through his mind right at the end. He manages to scribble a few things in a notebook, but the sources actually list his final 3 thoughts. It's fascinating.
It really is. It shows that shift, from the personal to the intellectual, even in depth. First, the raw human pain. He'll never see his daughter again. Dilara.
That hits hard.
Then the professional dread. His killers, whoever they are, they got away with something. A relic he calls having unimaginable power. So they found what they came for, and it's dangerous. Really dangerous.
And the third thought? That's the one that really sticks with me. Dying without actually seeing it. What he believed was the greatest archaeological discovery in history. He was so close.
Right on the threshold. That frustration mixed with the fear and the loss, it tells you everything about the stakes from page 1. He wasn't killed because he failed. He was killed because he'd succeeded.
And that artifact, the unimaginable power, it's clearly not just some dusty old relic.
No way. This immediately signals to you, the listener, that whatever they took from that chamber, it's active. It's a weapon. People are willing to execute someone brutally to get their hands on it. This isn't just about history anymore. It's about a clear and present danger.
Which brings us to his daughter, Dilara Kenner. She's pulled into this immediately, an archaeologist herself, right? Mid-30s.
Yeah, just back from Peru, excavating Incan ruins. So she's sharp, patient, used to dealing with ancient mysteries, but probably not international kill squads.
She lands at LAX, gets through customs, 45 minutes, the source notes, which feels painfully realistic.
Doesn't it? Total bureaucratic slog.
And waiting for her is her surrogate uncle, Sam Watson, Arvadi's old friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he's clearly not okay. Nervous, scared.
Terrified, yeah. Dilara's first thought, seeing him unwell, she'd lost her mother to cancer, is that he's sick. Maybe hiding a diagnosis.
A completely understandable but tragically wrong assumption. Kind of gives her this false sense of what the danger is.
Exactly. Sam quickly crushes that hope. He says he's fine, health-wise, but then he drops the bombshell about her father, Hassad Arvadi, who everyone thought was just missing.
What's he say?
He just blurts it out like he can't hold it in. He found it, Dilara. He actually found it. Noah's Ark. And just like that, any idea of a normal missing person case evaporates.
The conspiracy is right there, out in the open. But telling her costs him everything.
Instantly. Before he can give her any more details, who did it, why, this woman appears. Slight Slavic accent, the sources mention. She seems helpful, offers to wipe something off Sam's hand with a napkin.
Oh, the contact poison.
Svetlana Petrova. That gesture implies immediate, untraceable contact poisoning. It's chillingly efficient. No guns, no struggle in the middle of LAX, just silence.
And Sam collapses, clutching his chest, his last words to Dilara.
Just go! A desperate warning. And then 3 words, 3 clues. Hayden, Oasis. Genesis. Then he's gone.
Wow. So Sam Watson, who we later learned was actually a key scientist within this Holy Hydronastic Church organization.
All right, Garrett's group.
He died trying to warn Dilara, so now she knows. Her father didn't just find the Ark, he was murdered for it. Sam was murdered trying to help her, and she's next on the list.
The danger level just went from 10 to, 100. She needs help, but not the police. Not yet, anyway. She needs someone who operates in the gray areas, someone who can handle, this kind of mess.
Which leads her to the one name she can check from Sam's final words, sort of indirectly. Or maybe it was just the only lead she could verify quickly. Tyler Locke.
Right, the name she digs up. Tyler Locke, Chief of Special Operations at a place called Gordian Engineering.
And Dilara apparently had this image in her head, right? This stereotypical engineer.
Totally. Bald, maybe a bit paunchy, 50s pocket protector. The works.
But the reality is different.
Yeah. Massively different. His file is impressive academically.
Okay.
Mechanical engineering from MIT, then a PhD from Stanford. That alone is serious brain power.
But it's the other stuff, the military part.
That's what makes him uniquely suited for this. Former captain, U.S. Army Combat Engineering Company. We're talking expert level in demolition, bomb disposal, testing experimental prototypes, battlefield construction.
Basically blowing things up and building things under fire.
Pretty much. And he's got the medals to prove it. Silver Star for bravery, Purple Heart for being wounded in action. He's not just smart, he's combat proven. He can think his way through the ancient puzzle and fight his way through the immediate threats.
A tactical Swiss Army knife, as you put it earlier. Brains and brawn.
Exactly. And he doesn't work alone. He's got his partner, Grant Westfield.
Ah, yes, Grant.
The muscle.
Well, he's also a brilliant electrical engineer, but yeah, physically imposing. A 3-time NCAA freestyle wrestling champ. They call him the Burn. He joined the Army after 9/11, so he's got that intense patriotism driving him too.
So Locke is the precision instrument, Grant is the...
A sledgehammer. Maybe, but a smart sledgehammer. He adds that raw power and protective instinct. The source mentions when Locke shows Grant Dilara's photo, Grant gets this immediate "we need to help her" vibe.
So this is the team, the engineer-soldier, the wrestler-engineer tasked with protecting an archaeologist who's just been thrown into a global conspiracy tied to Noah's Ark.
Yeah, and things are about to get a lot crazier. Okay, Section 2, the techno-conspiracy. Prions, pilots, and Project Oasis. Sam's first clue was Hayden.
Right. Rex Hayden. And this pulls us straight into how this conspiracy uses public events as cover. Rex Hayden, huge celebrity, one of the biggest movie stars in the world.
Guarantees media frenzy.
Exactly. His private Boeing 737 call sign N348Z crashes near Chloride, Arizona. Big news everywhere.
But it wasn't an accident.
Not even close. It was orchestrated. The idea came from this character known only as Cutter. We find out later he was Grant Westfield's former Ranger superior. Not a nice guy, apparently played dirty.
Chainsaw Dan, Grant called him.
Right. Cutter suggested using a high-profile target, like Hayden, on a long flight over water. The crash itself and the inevitable media circus would be the perfect smokescreen for their real goal.
Which was?
Testing the bioweapon device, the thing Arvadi's killers stole. They needed to see how it worked in a contained environment over time.
And the details of that flight, they're chilling. We get a report from fighter pilots who intercepted the plane.
Yeah, Captain Mike Hammer Hamilton and Lieutenant Fred Fuzzy Newman. Call sign C Lift 32. They find the 737 flying perfectly straight and level. 35,000 feet, 550 knots, on autopilot. They look into the cockpit. It's empty, seatbelts buckled, but no pilots, just gone. The manifest listed 21 passengers, 6 crew. They all vanished somewhere over the Pacific Ocean.
How is that even possible?
We'll get to the how shortly. It's horrific. The plane only crashed in Arizona because the autopilot kept it flying until eventually the port engine failed. That caused a stall. It descended and basically augured straight into the ground.
And this is where Locke gets involved officially. Gordian Engineering gets an NTSB contract to investigate the crash site.
Right. Locke goes out there, and what he sees immediately raises red flags.
Yeah.
There are personnel walking around the wreckage in full level 4 biohazard suits, the highest level of protection.
Why? What are they finding?
Locke talks to Judy Hodge, the lead Gordian engineer on site. She confirms it. They're collecting bones. Just bones scattered around the impact zone. No bodies, no tissue, only mineralized remains.
Bones. Okay, that connects back to the bioweapon somehow, this Arkon thing.
Exactly. It's the first solid piece of physical evidence pointing towards something deeply unnatural.
Hmm.
But before they can even really process that, the focus shifts back to Dilara. The people behind this try to eliminate her again.
Right, her nasty run of bad luck, as the source calls it.
Yeah.
It escalates fast.
Unbelievably fast. Sam's murder at LAX. Then, almost immediately after, a big black SUV tries to run her off the road right near the airport. She escapes that.
And then the helicopter.
Yeah, she's finally on her way to meet Locke, who's out on the Scotia 1 oil rig for a Gordian project. The helicopter taking her there suddenly malfunctions and crashes into the ocean near the rig.
Sabotage, obviously.
It has to be. Locke has to react instantly. Pure crisis mode. The weather's turning bad, fog rolling in. Coast Guard is 90 minutes out. Too long.
So they use the lifeboat.
The free-fall lifeboat, basically a sealed pod they launch off the side of the rig. It drops 70 feet straight down into the sea. Terrifying, but fast. Grant, characteristically, is apparently yelling, "Let's see what this baby can do," on the way down.
Of course he is. So Dilara's safe. The immediate survivors from the rig are safe in the lifeboat. But Locke goes back.
He does. He has to secure the rig, check for other threats, and he finds them. All the satellite and radio communication wires have been expertly cut. They're isolated.
And the other lifeboats.
Melted shut. All of them. Using thermate TH3.
Thermate. Oh, that's like thermite, but nastier.
Yeah, it's an incendiary designed to burn incredibly hot, stick to metal, melt through steel. Locke, the engineer, actually notes the quality of the work. Fast, efficient, effective. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. They were meant to be trapped on the rig when the bombs went off.
Bombs. Plural.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
Locke confronts the saboteur on the rig, but the guy doesn't fight. He just jumps off the platform, commits suicide.
Leaving Locke with
A countdown timer on the dead man's wrist. Ticking down. 13 minutes left. Grant, meanwhile, finds one of the bombs, a big one, planted right next to the rig's main gas line.
Okay, trapped on a rig, communications cut, bombs ticking, main gas line threatened. How did they get out of this?
This is where Locke's specific background saves everyone. His PhD is in mechanical engineering, probably heavy on materials science and chemistry from MIT and Stanford. He looks at the free-fall lifeboats they didn't use. They have these strong plastic hatches, likely polycarbonate.
Okay.
And he spots barrels of acetone on the rig. It's a common degreaser used for cleaning heavy machinery. But Locke knows its chemical properties. Acetone dissolves polycarbonate.
Like nail polish remover dissolving certain plastics.
Exactly, but on an industrial scale. He realizes he can use the acetone to weaken the plastic hatches on the remaining lifeboats enough to pry them open.
Just enough to.
Shove the bombs inside, seal them up again, and jettison the whole lifeboat into the ocean away from the rig, just seconds before they detonate.
Wow. Using basic chemistry under insane pressure. That's impressive.
It's genius-level problem solving. And after surviving, 3 attempts on her life in as many days, this finally convinces Locke. This isn't just random violence or corporate sabotage. It's targeted, it's organized, and it's escalating.
So now they have the clues. Sam Watson left. Hayden, Oasis, Genesis. And they have Coleman from somewhere.
Right. Coleman Consulting turns up in the mix, likely connected to the rig sabotage or maybe Hayden's plane. They need to connect the dots. They bring in Aidan McKenna.
Gordian's data guy, the expert researcher.
The best. Aidan starts digging into those keywords. Genesis and Dawn immediately ping on something huge. The Genesis Dawn. It's a brand new cruise ship, absolutely massive. Think Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas kind of scale.
And it's about to sail.
Maiden voyage. This Friday. Carrying 8,000 people, passengers and crew. Locke puts it together instantly. That's the target. A floating city. The perfect place to release a bioweapon for maximum global spread.
But they need more. They need confirmation, the who and the why.
So Locke and Dilara do something risky. They break into Coleman Consulting's office. They find evidence that files are being wiped, a digital cleanup is happening. But Aidan manages to recover fragments, including an email.
And the email reveals
a previous name for this Project Oasis. The original code name was Whirlwind.
Whirlwind. Why does that name matter?
Because Locke knows Whirlwind. It wasn't just some random project name. It was a classified $500 million military black project. Deep underground construction. And years ago, before it was suddenly canceled without explanation, Tyler Locke was its chief engineer.
He designed it. He knows the specs, the location, the security.
Everything. It all clicks into place. Whirlwind, Oasis. It's the same project. A massive underground bunker. And then Dilara connects the final piece.
Fuck that.
The phrase the oil rig bomber muttered just before he jumped, All flesh has corrupted his way upon the earth.
That sounds biblical.
It is. Genesis chapter 8, right from the story of Noah and the great flood. Whirlwind, the flood quote. Oasis. Locke realizes what it is. Project Oasis isn't just a bunker. It's a modern-day Ark, a subterranean refuge built using his own engineering designs, preparing for some kind of catastrophic global event, a cleansing.
A cleansing.
Yeah.
Engineered by whom? Who's behind all this?
Sebastian Garrett. He's the leader, the money, the ideology, heads something called the Holy Hydronastic Church, owns a massive 250-foot yacht, the Mako. The sources describe him as intensely charismatic, striking green eyes, but with this incredibly dark view of the world.
What's his beef with the world?
He sees modern society, especially big cities like LA, as just irredeemably corrupt, rife with crime, misery, greed, unhappiness, debauchery, wickedness. That's a direct quote. He thinks humanity has failed, poisoned the planet, lost its way.
So he wants to reboot.
Pretty much.
Right.
Wipe the slate clean. He sees the world as a blank slate waiting for him and his chosen followers to inherit after the purification. He's a cult leader, but with immense wealth and access to cutting-edge, dangerous technology.
Which brings us back to the bioweapon, the Arkon agent. What exactly is it? The CDC eventually gets involved, right?
They do. And they classify it as level 4 biohazard. That's the absolute highest level. Think Ebola, Marburg virus, things with no known cure and high fatality rates. But Arkon isn't a virus or bacteria.
What is it then?
It's a prion agent.
Prions. Like mad cow disease, CJD.
Exactly like that family of diseases, but weaponized and engineered for terrifying efficiency. Prions are basically misfolded proteins. They aren't alive in the traditional sense, but they cause other healthy proteins in the body to misfold in the same way. It's a chain reaction.
And you can't easily kill them, right? Heat, radiation.
They're extremely resistant. They're not alive, so you can't kill them like bacteria.
Yeah.
And they are always, always fatal. There's no cure. It's possibly the most insidious biological weapon you could imagine.
Okay, so Arkon is a prion weapon. How does it actually kill? What does it target in the body?
It's engineered to attack specific proteins called cadherins.
Cadherins. Remind me what those do.
Think of them as the molecular glue or Velcro that holds your body's cells together. They're essential for maintaining the structure and integrity of tissues and organs. Without functional cadherins, cells basically lose their connection to each other.
So if Arkon destroys cadherins,
the structure fails, tissues literally break down, the body essentially dissolves from the inside out, it liquefies.
oh my God. That explains the bones on Hayden's plane. There was nothing left but bones because the rest just melted.
Precisely. The source mentions one of the pilots might have screamed something about melting over the radio before they vanished. It wasn't panic. It was a literal description of what was happening to them. Horrifying.
And the device they stole from Arvadi, the one tested on the plane, it had different types.
Yeah, showing the planning involved. There were 2 cylinders recovered from the wreckage before Cutter stole it back. One red, one blue.
Red and blue, meaning?
The red cylinder contained a fast-acting version of the prion, designed to kill within minutes. That was likely intended as a booby trap. If someone unauthorized tried to tamper with the device, boom, they're dead almost instantly.
And the blue one?
That held the slow-acting version. Longer-lasting prions. Symptoms wouldn't show up for days. This was the one designed for mass casualty, for widespread undetected infection. Perfect for releasing on something like the Genesis Dawn cruise ship. People would get infected, travel home all over the world, then get sick. Global pandemic.
Okay, so the stakes are clear. Global prion pandemic, orchestrated by Garrett from his underground Ark. Section 3, the battle for Oasis. Technology, betrayal, and the MOP. What's the MOP?
Oh, we'll get to the MOP. It's significant. But first, the fight escalates. Garrett knows Locke and Dilara are closing in. He needs that device back, the one recovered from Hayden's plane, currently at Gordian. And he needs Locke and Dilara stopped. Permanently.
So confrontation time. It starts in Seattle.
Right outside Gordian's Seattle headquarters, Locke and Dilara are ambushed. 2 shooters, Olsen and Cates, ex-Army Special Forces, highly trained. Silenced MP5 submachine guns, they mean business. Locke, maybe a little complacent on his home turf, is caught off guard.
Things go bad fast.
Very fast. A running gunfight erupts, spilling onto the Seattle monorail, and this is a huge moment for Dilara.
How so?
She's been learning self-defense, Krav Maga from Grant, basic stuff, but instinctive. During the fight on the moving train, Cates has Locke cornered. Dilara reacts. She uses a technique Grant taught her, slams Kate's backwards with everything she has.
Okay.
He goes off the monorail, falls to his death.
Whoa, she kills him.
In self-defense, absolutely. But yeah, it's incredibly traumatic for her. She's an academic, a scientist, taking a life. Even to save Locke's, that's a massive psychological barrier to cross. Locke has to quickly reassure her, you did what you had to do. You saved us.
While they're dealing with the shock of that, Garrett's team makes its move on the bioweapon device itself.
Exactly. Cutter Chainsaw Dan and another operative named Simpkins infiltrate Gordian's Test and Engineering Center, the Tech, down in Phoenix.
The Tech, that's a big facility, right?
Huge, 500 acres, highly secure, testing ground for all sorts of advanced tech. Cutter and Simpkins get inside, locate the green carry-on suitcase containing the Arkon device recovered from the Hayden crash.
How do they plan to get out with it, ramming the gates?
Oh, they go bigger than that, much bigger. Their escape vehicle, a Liebherr T-282B dump truck.
A mining truck, one of those colossal ones.
The biggest haul truck in the world, basically. The engine alone weighs something like 20,000 pounds. The tires are 12 feet tall. It's a 200-ton monster designed to move mountains.
And they use this to escape the Tech.
They use it to flatten everything in their path. Security gates, fences, parked cars. The source describes them turning vehicles into steel origami. It's sheer, unstoppable brute force.
That's insane. How do Locke and Grant even respond to that?
They happen to be arriving at the Tech just as Cutter is escaping. They give chase. And the image is just wild. This gigantic mining truck lumbering down the highway, crushing cars, pursued by Locke and Grant and Tesla?
Tesla, seriously.
Yeah, high-tech, agile, silent electric car versus a diesel-belching behemoth. David and Goliath on wheels. Locke radios ahead, initiates gamma protocols, basically authorizing lethal force from tech security.
Does it work? Can they stop the truck?
No! The guards open fire, but bullets just bounce off the Liebherr's massive steel frame. It's too big, too armored. Cutter gets away with the device.
This just shows how desperate Garrett is to get that weapon back and keep it secret. He's willing to cause utter chaos in broad daylight.
Absolutely. And it proves to Locke they can't rely on conventional law enforcement. The enemy is too ruthless, too well-equipped, and possibly has inside help.
Which leads them to Miami and the Genesis Dawn Gala.
Right. They figure Garrett will be there for the maiden voyage, the launch of his planned pandemic vector. Yeah. And sure enough, Dilara spots someone, Svetlana Petrova. The woman who poisoned Sam Watson at LAX. That faint Slavic accent gives her away. Confirmation, Garrett's inner circle is here.
So Locke tries to work with the authorities one last time, the FBI.
Yeah. He approaches the agent in charge, Agent Perez, lays out the threat. Garrett, the bioweapon, the ship as a target, but Perez just brushes him off, completely dismissive, says they should focus on the Hayden crash, the known facts.
That sounds suspicious.
Locke thinks so too. He's a master at reading people, finding patterns. He notes Perez's approximate age, remembers seeing Yale on his file somewhere. Maybe he knew Garrett back in college. Could there be a connection?
A mole inside the FBI.
It clicks very quickly. Perez tries to lead Locke and another agent, Harris, away from the main event, supposedly to look at some evidence. Locke realizes it's a setup. Perez is going to kill them both.
Does Locke confront him?
He tracks Perez down. Perez has actually stolen the keys to a red Mustang that was being raffled off as a prize, a flashy getaway car. Locke confronts him, gets close, and sees it. Perez is wearing a bulletproof vest under his suit.
Confirmation. He's dirty.
Totally compromised. Loyal to Garrett, willing to murder fellow agents. Locke has no choice but to take him down. He kills Perez.
But the irony. Perez probably had no idea about the real plan, right? The Arkon plague that would kill him too.
Almost certainly not. He was just another pawn, a willing sacrifice for Garrett's greater good. Unaware, he was marked for death just like everyone else on the planet outside of Oasis. Eliminating Perez closes one door, but the main threat is still active.
And while Locke is dealing with Perez, Garrett makes his move on Dilara.
Yes. Garrett himself, along with Petrova, grabs her from her hotel suite near the gala. They drug her with a sedative, administered by a doctor who's part of the cult.
But Dilara fights back.
She shows incredible strength.
Yeah.
She fakes being more sedated than she is. When the guard lets his, guard down, she manages to turn the tables, incapacitates him using the sedative itself. She even gets her hands on a gun she'd borrowed. But ultimately, she's recaptured. Petrova delivers this chilling line, mocking her. "You'll never see him, Locke, again. He's as good as dead," just twisting the knife.
So Dilara's captured. The bioweapon is likely heading to Garrett's main base, Project Oasis. Locke knows where that is now, right? Orcas Island.
Orcas Island in Washington state. The site of the Holy Hydronastic compound, built over the original Whirlwind Project bunker. Locke knows he needs overwhelming force, and he needs it now. This is where he makes the call he probably never wanted to make.
To his father, General Locke.
Yeah. Head of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, DTRA, the agency responsible for countering weapons of mass destruction. There's clearly bad blood between them, Locke hating the military-industrial complex his father represents. But he needs military assets. Fast.
And the general comes through.
He does. He authorizes a Delta Force assault on the Orcas Island compound. Captain Turner is put in command of the team, but there's a catch. A terrifying contingency plan.
This is the MOP you mentioned.
This is the MOP, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, GBU-57. It's one of the largest conventional bombs the U.S. military has. 30,000 pounds, designed specifically to penetrate hundreds of feet of earth and reinforce concrete to destroy deeply buried bunkers.
Like Oasis Whirlwind.
Exactly. The bunker was built to withstand almost anything. Think Mount Weather level hardened. The order comes down from the president, through General Locke. If Captain Turner's Delta team cannot secure the Arkon bioweapon inside Oasis within a very tight time frame,
then what?
Then General Locke has authorization, in fact, the order to drop the MOP on the Orcas Island facility.
Destroying the entire bunker.
Wiping it off the map, killing everyone inside Garrett, his followers, estimated around 300 people, and Dilara, to prevent the Arkon prion from ever getting out and causing a global pandemic.
Sacrifice 300 to save billions.
Yeah.
An impossible choice for General Locke, especially with Locke's friend inside.
The ultimate needs of the many scenario. The weight on General Locke must be immense. But Locke, knowing the clock is ticking, has to focus on getting Delta Force inside the bunker. He uses his knowledge of the original Whirlwind plans.
How do they breach the security? It must be state-of-the-art.
It is. Motion sensors, seismic detectors, cameras, guards. Locke comes up with an ingenious plan. Not brute force, but misdirection. He uses precisely placed explosives to fell a giant evergreen tree.
Just knock down a tree.
But he drops it perfectly right onto the main perimeter fence line. It creates a natural breach. It looks like an accident caused by wind or something.
Ah, so the guards have to respond to the down tree.
Exactly. They have to send teams to investigate, assess the damage, maybe start repairs. All that activity near the breach forces them to manually override the automated sensors in that specific sector, creating a blind spot. It's a brilliant piece of tactical engineering.
And Locke and Grant use that opening.
They pose as compound security guards responding to the incident. They get close to the main entrance tunnel, use a gas grenade to neutralize the primary guard, and also nab a guy who's trying to flee David Deal, a pharmacologist working for Garrett, who's clearly panicked.
Does Deal talk?
Instantly. He gives them the security password to get deeper inside, and the password itself is revealing. It's heaven.
Of course it is. Fits the cult's messiah complex.
Right, so Locke, Grant, and Captain Turner's Delta team make their way down to the biolab level, where the Arkon samples stolen from the tech are likely being prepared.
For Turner's orders are clear. Secure the weapon.
Yes, standard military procedure. Contain the threat, bring it back for analysis, maybe weaponize it themselves later. But Locke refuses.
Why? They need to stop Garrett.
Locke realizes that securing it just means it falls into the hands of another power, maybe the U.S. military. He argues vehemently that this prion, this Arkon agent, is too dangerous to exist, period. It can't be studied or reverse engineered. It has to be destroyed. Now.
That's a direct conflict with military orders. How does Turner react? How does Grant react?
It's incredibly tense. Turner wants to follow orders, but Grant sides with Locke. The source says Grant actually puts his hand on Turner's sidearm, a subtle but unmistakable gesture, stopping the captain from intervening. Grant says something like, "I didn't go through all this just to let the army get hold of a new weapon."
Wow. So Grant backs Locke's play against military authority.
He does. And Locke, with Delta covering them, takes the Arkon samples, the red and blue cylinders recovered by Cutter, and shoves them into the lab's high-temperature sterilizer, incinerates them, destroys the modern version of the plague.
So the immediate threat is neutralized, the MOP strike is averted, Dilara is still captive somewhere in the bunker, but the pandemic weapon is gone.
Gone. But the original source, the ancient mystery, still remains. And Garrett and Cutter are still at large within the complex.
Okay, Section 4. The ancient link. Noah's Ark and the amulet. The modern bioweapon is destroyed, but where did it come from originally?
That's the question. While the assault on Oasis was happening, Dilara wasn't just passively captive. She used that sedative on her guard, got hold of a weapon briefly. She's resourceful.
And back at Gordian headquarters, Aidan McKenna, the data guy, is still working on Arvadi's notes.
Yes, specifically that last smudged page from the notebook Arvadi had before he died. Aidan finally deciphers a crucial sequence. BCT.
DCT means what?
Aidan connects it to the Book of the Cave of Treasures. It's an old apocryphal text, not part of the standard Bible, but known in certain scholarly circles. It contains alternative histories, genealogies, and potentially clues about the Ark.
And there were coordinates too, right? Garbled ones?
Yeah, 122.bjw, 48.hertz.sn. Nonsense at first glance. But combined with BCT and cross-referencing other notes of Arvadi's that Dilara had shared, specifically mentions of the Douay-Rheims Bible translation.
Why that specific translation?
It has unique phrasing, particularly in Genesis chapters 7 to 10, dealing with the flood narrative. Arvadi must have found something specific in that version. Putting it all together, BCT, the coordinates, which likely relate to map grids or passages within the text, the Douay-Rheims connection, it all points to one location.
Where Arvadi died.
Khor-Virap Monastery, Armenia, sitting right in the shadow of Mount Ararat. That's where Arvadi was searching.
But where inside the monastery? It's an ancient place. Yeah.
They find another clue in Arvadi's notes, a reference from an even older scroll he must have consulted. The 5th and 7th stone from the cove reveals. Initially, they think it might be the 8th stone, a typo, but Locke looks at it differently.
How? As an engineer.
Exactly. He doesn't see it as just counting stones. He thinks 5th and 7th might refer to a mechanism. They're down in the monastery's ancient cistern, known as St. Gregory's Pit. Locke theorizes it's not about pushing stones in sequence, but pushing the 5th and 7th stones simultaneously.
Like activating 2 pressure plates at once.
And with equal force. A simple, ancient locking mechanism. He and Grant try it. They push the designated stones together, applying steady, equal pressure.
And it works.
Click. A hidden door grinds open in the cistern wall.
Wow. What do they find inside?
It's grim at first. They find Arvadi's body and his weapon, but also, crucially, the scroll he died protecting, the original source document.
What language is it in? So something Dilara can read.
It's Proto-Tanaitic Hebrew, the language of the Dead Sea Scrolls, incredibly ancient, incredibly difficult. Only a very small number of people worldwide can actually sight-read it fluently.
Can Dilara?
She can. It speaks volumes about her own expertise, right? She's not just some field grunt. She's a serious scholar. She begins translating it right there in that hidden chamber. And what it says, it changes everything.
What's the big reveal?
The scroll claims the Great Flood, the one in Genesis. It wasn't just water, or maybe not primarily water. It was a pestilence. A plague.
The Arkon-B.
That's the implication, a disease that wiped out vast populations that became known over time simply as the flood. And Noah, he didn't build the ark just to float away from rising waters.
He built it as a refuge, a quarantine zone.
A biocontainment unit to protect his family and the animals from the disease that was killing, as the Bible says, all flesh.
That makes a terrifying kind of sense.
Yeah.
Especially with the prion connection. It wouldn't affect fish or sea creatures, right? Only land animals and humans with those specific adherent proteins.
Exactly. The biblical account mentions the flood killed everything that moved on the earth, birds, cattle, beasts, creeping things, humans. But it never says anything about aquatic life dying out. The prion theory fits the description perfectly.
So Garrett, his whole insane plan was based on a kernel of twisted, misinterpreted historical truth. He thought he was reenacting Noah's plague.
Seems like it. A perversion of history to justify his own megalomania. The scroll also mentions something else crucial. 2 amulets.
Amulets, like magical charms.
Maybe more like containers or keys. 1, the amulet of Shem, Noah's son, is supposedly kept inside the ark itself, and the scroll says this amulet captured the horror for eternity. It's described as the source of the plague.
The original sample of the Arkon-B.
That's the terrifying possibility. And the scroll gives one final crucial piece of information, the ark's location.
On Mount Ararat, right, where everyone lives. Nope. That's the key insight Arvadi must have had. Why would a wooden ship survive 6,000 years exposed on a mountainside? Erosion, weather, rot? It wouldn't last. The scroll says the ark is not on Ararat, but in the mountain, specifically inside the eastern face.
Inside the mountain. How?
Locke connects it to something Miles Benson, his boss at Gordian, had asked him earlier. How would Noah's Ark last 6,000 years? The answer isn't magic, it's geology. It must be preserved inside something.
Like a cave.
A massive one, a fantastically huge lava tube, as the source puts it, an enormous cavern created by ancient volcanic activity deep inside the mountain, perfectly dry, sheltered from the elements. The ideal preservation chamber.
Engineering,
Right.
geology, ancient texts, all pointing to the same spot. So they go there. Turkey.
They fly to eastern Turkey.
Right.
Locke uses a high-powered strobe light, a modern tool mimicking an ancient flickering torch, and shines it into a fissure on the eastern face of Ararat. And there it is, inside a colossal cavern, the Ark.
What does it look like? Is it believable? It's huge. 450 feet long, matching the biblical dimensions. And Locke, the engineer, is stunned by the craftsmanship. Flawless joinery, designed far beyond what anyone thought possible for that era. It's real.
Do they find treasure? The scroll mentioned wealth.
Oh yeah. They find a main chamber filled with gold, silver, ancient weapons, an unbelievable hoard. The source speculates maybe someone like King Midas used the Ark as a stronghold or treasury long after the flood.
But the main prize isn't gold. It's the amulet of Shem.
Right. They search for it, following clues within the Ark's structure, and they find it. It's not what you'd expect. It's a piece of amber, fossilized tree resin.
Amber, like in Jurassic Park.
Sort of. And trapped inside the amber are the skeletal remains of a small amphibian, a frog, or something similar.
And that's the source of the Arkon-prion, a fossilized frog.
That's what the evidence suggests. This specific sample, Arkon-A, the original strain. The source material even offers a mythic explanation. Noah found 3 such amber pieces after the flood, saw them as divine. But a trader stole one, thinking the fluid inside held medicinal power. Opening it released the plague. Human greed unleashed the horror.
Okay, they have the amulet, the source of the plague. Mission accomplished.
Not quite. Just as they're about to leave the Ark cavern, ambush,
Who? Garrett.
Garrett and Cutter. They weren't captured or killed in the Oasis bunker assault. How did they escape?
The submarine pen.
Exactly. Cutter, the paranoid tactician, had insisted on adding a hidden subterranean submarine pen to the original Whirlwind bunker designs. They slipped out underwater while Delta Force was clearing the upper levels, and they tracked Locke's team here to the Ark. They jammed their communications. It's the final showdown.
Inside the Ark's cavern.
Right at the exit, Locke has to deal with Garrett, who's armed and trying to get the amulet. Locke uses distraction, tactics, eventually manages to wound Garrett.
What about Grant and Cutter? This is personal for them.
Deeply personal. They go head-to-head, hand-to-hand combat. Grant knows Cutter's old war wounds, knows his dirty tricks. It's brutal. Grant finally gets the upper hand, uses his wrestling strength, and drives Cutter backward over a railing into the darkness below. Justice served, maybe?
And Dilara, what about Petrova?
Petrova's there too. Dilara, incredibly, grabs one of the ancient swords from the treasure hoard. She uses the Ark's 3D mapping system, presumably something Arvadi or Locke's team set up to track Petrova in the cavern's dim light. She fights, using her agility, and manages to defeat the woman who killed Sam Watson. Full circle.
So Cutter's dead, Petrova's down, Garrett.
Garrett is wounded, defeated, but not captured. He manages to activate another hidden mechanism, a stone door at the back of the cavern, and escapes. He grabs a backpack, but crucially, Locke ensures Garrett doesn't get the amulet of Shem. Garrett disappears into the mountain.
So the immediate threats are neutralized, mostly. Garrett's escaped, but without the ultimate weapon. What's the aftermath?
Grant is badly injured in the fight with Cutter, but he'll live. Hospitalized. Captain Turner, the Delta commander, got wounded during the Oasis assault, patched up, gets a Purple Heart.
And Locke? What about his relationship with his father?
There's a slight thaw. The general has to acknowledge Locke's effectiveness, his unique value, even if he operates outside the lines. This gives Locke, and by extension Gordian Engineering, some serious leverage for future government contracts. Miles Benson, Locke's boss, is already planning how to spin this.
But Locke has the amulet, the last sample of Arkon-A. What does he do with it? Does he turn it over?
This is maybe the most critical decision he makes. He knows, perhaps better than anyone now, how dangerous this thing is. He doesn't trust any government or military organization with it, not even his father's agency.
So?
He keeps it secret. Doesn't tell Dilara, doesn't tell Miles, doesn't tell the general. He takes the amulet of Shem, flies quietly to a remote industrial foundry somewhere in Bulgaria,
And destroys it.
drops the amber orb with its prehistoric frog and its eons-old plague straight into a hopper pouring molten iron, incinerates it completely, wipes the original Arkon-A off the face of the earth, ensuring this specific nightmare can never, ever be unleashed again.
Wow. He takes that burden entirely on himself.
He does. Meanwhile, Dilara gets her own kind of resolution. She starts working with the Turkish government using her photos, her translation of the scroll, everything Arvadi discovered, to plan the official, legitimate excavation of Noah's Ark. Her father's legacy and the truth about the flood will finally be revealed to the world.
Okay, let's wrap this up, our outro. What did we actually learn from this deep dive? It started with a murder over an ancient quest.
And ended with, yeah, a prehistoric amber bead being melted down in a Bulgarian foundry. Quite the arc.
We followed this really driven cult leader, Sebastian Garrett. Used his fortune to try and trigger a global extinction event.
Using a bioweapon, Arkon, this terrifying prion agent, that he sourced ultimately from an ancient relic, the Amulet of Shem, found inside Noah's Ark.
Which was discovered by Dilara's father, Arvadi, whose research basically rewrote the history of the Great Flood, suggesting it wasn't water, but a pandemic.
Right. And Locke's engineering mind, prompted by that question from Miles Benson, how would the Ark survive 6,000 years, led us to the answer. Not magic, but geology and engineering.
It wasn't sitting on Mount Ararat, exposed to the elements. It was preserved inside the mountain, protected within a fantastically huge lava tube. That dry, stable environment kept it intact for millennia.
That intersection, the hard science of geology, the principles of engineering, blended with a radical rereading of ancient history and texts. That's the real core takeaway from these sources, isn't it?
It really is. Which leaves us, and you the listener, with a pretty provocative final thought. If the flood, arguably one of the most foundational myths in Western culture, was actually a historical pandemic.
And if Noah's Ark wasn't just a boat, but essentially an ancient biocontainment facility built with surprisingly advanced knowledge,
then what other ancient myths, what other biblical stories might actually be records of real scientific phenomena? Or maybe geopolitical events? Things misinterpreted over time, just waiting for the right combination of, I don't know, a combat engineer and an archaeologist to decipher the clues.
Yeah. What other secrets are hidden in plain sight within those old stories? Something definitely worth pondering until our next deep dive.